The wind screamed across the ruins of New Eden, a city that once held thousands of human lives. Now, it was nothing but ash and broken steel. Empty windows stared like dead eyes into the dusty sky. The streets were silent. Buildings stood like bones, no birds, no people, just silence and wind. But deep underground, beneath the shattered streets and rubble, someone moved. Ethan Blake opened his eyes inside a cold metal room. The small lights above flickered, powered by old solar panels. He had fixed himself. He sat up on a narrow bunk, the mattress thin and worn. His beard was rough, and his clothes were patched. He looked tired, older than his 26 years. 5 years ago, the aliens came. The Threxeri. No one saw it coming. One moment, humanity was thriving across planets, and the next, the skies turned black. Fire fell from above. Cities burned. Space stations exploded. No warning, no mercy. Ethan had been a mining technician then, just a regular guy. He was fixing a drill deep underground when the first wave hit. That drill site saved his life. Everyone else in New Eden was gone. His parents, his younger sister, his friends, all gone in one day. The Threxeri didn't stop. They wiped out every human world they found. They destroyed warships, colonies, and cities. When the last human fleet vanished into deep space, the aliens broadcasted a final message to the galaxy. Humanity is extinct. But Ethan was not extinct. He was just waiting. In the bunker, he moved carefully. He boiled recycled water, opened a tin of beans, and chewed slowly. Every bite was survival. Every drop of water a victory. He had learned to make things last. He studied every manual he could find. He took apart broken machines and put them back together. He had learned how to fix alien tech too. His small command center blinked with dim lights. A monitor showed a map of the city above. Sensors he placed on the surface told him everything: movement, sound, temperature. For 5 years, nothing had changed. Until today, a red light flashed. The system beeped softly. Ethan leaned forward and stared. Movement, not far from the old city square. Something big. Not animals. Too quiet. Too careful. He quickly grabbed a worn backpack, slung it over his shoulder, and moved to the exit tunnel. He pulled on a mask to filter dust and climbed the old ladder to the surface. His boots stepped into ash. Above ground, the world looked dead, but he knew better. He moved through back alleys and broken buildings, keeping low, keeping quiet. The air smelled of rust and old fire. He reached a tall building and climbed up to the roof. From there, he could see the square. A sleek alien drone hovered just above the ground. Black metal, smooth and sharp. It scanned the area with a soft blue light. Ethan froze. The Threxeri were back. Why? He waited until it moved behind a broken statue. Then he took out a small device. He built a signal scrambler. He aimed it and turned it on. The drone flickered and twitched. It made a strange noise and dropped to the ground. Ethan rushed down the stairs and ran toward it. He reached the drone and flipped it over. He pulled out its data core and tucked it into his pack. Then he ran, fast, no time to stay. Back underground, he locked the bunker door and placed the drone's core on a workbench. He connected it to his terminal and watched the screen. What he saw made his heart pound. A new Threxeri ship was in orbit. It had landed scouts across the planet. They weren't here by accident. They were checking, searching. Someone had told them something, or maybe they were afraid. Ethan leaned back in his chair. He couldn't hide forever. He stared at a picture pinned to the wall, a small, torn photo. Him with his sister, laughing on a beach years ago. Time to make them remember. He whispered. He opened a drawer and pulled out a small box. Inside was a badge, silver and black. His father's old ID from a military research center. On the back was a code, something his father told him never to forget. He typed the code into the terminal. A new file opened. A map. Below the city, deeper than even Ethan had gone, was a hidden entrance, a sealed tunnel. It led to an old military outpost. Maybe there were weapons, maybe a ship, maybe something that could help. He packed his tools, strapped a pistol to his leg, and pulled on a thicker coat. Before he left, He looked at the map one more time. Then he smiled. They thought we were gone. He said quietly, "Let's prove them wrong." Outside, the wind still screamed across the ruins, but now, someone was walking through them. A survivor, a spark, a beginning. Ethan Blake was done hiding, and the Threxari had no idea what was coming. The old tunnel was dark, damp, and full of dust. Pipes ran along the walls, many broken or rusted through. Some dripped strange fluids. The deeper Ethan Blake went, the warmer the air felt, like the ground itself was holding onto old heat. He had followed the map his father left behind, stored in the secret code. It led to a hidden bunker even older than the one he lived in. This one, however, was built not for survival but for war. He carried a small lantern and kept his pistol close. Each step echoed in the tunnel. Even though he tried to stay quiet, the ceiling above groaned once. Dust fell on his shoulders, but he kept going. He had come too far to stop now. After an hour of walking, he found it. A heavy blast door stood at the end of the tunnel, covered in grime. Its control panel was shattered, wires hanging out, but Ethan was good at fixing things. He knelt down, opened his backpack, and pulled out his toolkit. With steady hands, he cut into the panel and rewired the broken circuits. The door didn't open with a roar. It opened with a long, tired sigh, as if waking from sleep. Inside was darkness again, but it was clean, sealed, no dust, no mold. He stepped through and turned on a switch. Lights flickered, then lit up one by one down a long hallway. The room at the end took his breath away. It was a command center. Desks, screens, consoles, maps of Earth, and the surrounding systems on the walls. One large window looked into a hangar, and in that hangar, half buried in shadows, sat a ship, sleek, angular, damaged but not broken. He walked slowly toward it. The name was still printed on its side, though the letters were worn. SCV-07 Silverline. A scout corvette. Fast, light weapons, stealth systems. Ethan remembered reading about this class in old files. It was built for spying, slipping past enemy lines, and quick strikes. The perfect tool for what he had in mind. He circled the ship, running his hand over its cool metal skin. The engines were intact. The hull had damage, but not enough to ground it forever. The bridge glass was cracked, but repairable. He could work with this. He had to. The Corvette wasn't alone in the hangar. On one side, shelves were stacked with crates of tools, spare parts, and even armor. He found fuel cells and storage, still sealed. One small room held emergency rations, water purification kits, and old uniforms. But the best discovery was the ship's AI core. It had been removed from the mainframe and stored in a secured cabinet. Ethan pulled it out gently. It was shaped like a glass orb with cables wrapped around it. He took it to the console and plugged it in. The screen lit up. Initiating system. "Wake up," a calm female voice said. "AI core active. Identity, Alex. Welcome, authorized user." Ethan blinked. The AI still worked. He couldn't believe it. "I'm Ethan Blake," he said. "Technician. I need your help to restore the ship." "Technician Blake," the AI replied. "Your voice print does not match previous commanders, but you carry a valid clearance. I accept temporary command protocol. Do you wish to begin repairs?" "Yes," Ethan said. "Let's bring the ship back." For the next 4 days, Ethan worked non-stop. Alex guided him step by step. He replaced burned circuits, patched hull damage with metal sheets, and installed new coolant tubes for the engines. He cleaned every inch of the ship's interior. He repaired the cracked bridge glass using a clear bonding gel. He even reconnected the old weapons systems to plasma turrets and one missile bay. During breaks, he ate in silence, thinking about the Threxari and why they had returned. The drone he shot down was just the start. If they were scanning the surface again, they might be hunting survivors, or maybe they suspected something. He couldn't wait for them to find him. He had to act first. By the 6th day, the ship was ready to fly short distances. It couldn't enter space yet. The main engine still needed one more part he didn't have, but it could move across land, hover, and stay hidden. That was enough for now. He named it Echo 1. That night Ethan climbed into the cockpit. The lights glowed softly. The controls responded to his touch. Alex ran a check. All primary systems stable. Hover drive online. Cloaking system at 67%. Recommend test flight. Ethan smiled for the first time in a long time. Let's do it. Echo 1 rose slowly from the hangar floor, its engines quiet. Dust swirled below it. The hangar roof opened with a loud groan, revealing the night sky. Ethan guided the ship out and over the ruined city. From above, New Eden looked like a graveyard. But now, for the first time, he felt like something could be rebuilt. He flew low, scanning for more alien drones. None appeared. He spotted broken roads, old vehicles, and some areas still burning after all these years. He took note of areas to avoid, places where radiation still lingered. He returned to the hangar before sunrise and closed the doors. The next day, he began preparing for something bigger. He remembered a transmission tower northeast of the city. It used to link Earth to the outer colonies before the fall. If he could fix it, he could send a message far beyond the planet. Maybe someone would hear. Maybe other humans were still out there hiding like him. Maybe not. But he had to try. He packed tools, power cells, and one of the Threxeri data cores he had salvaged. If he connected it to the tower, it could act as a signal booster. Alex warned him it could also alert enemy ships. I know, he said. But hiding forever isn't survival. It's just dying slower. He flew Echo 1 to the tower during the night. The structure stood tall, though parts of it were bent and broken. He landed the ship nearby and entered the control room. Inside, he found shattered glass, old bloodstains, and broken equipment. But the core systems were still there. For hours, he repaired wires, bypassed ruined panels, and replaced batteries. Finally, the main transmitter came online. Ethan connected the Threxeri core and typed his message. To any surviving human fleet or outpost, this is Ethan Blake. Earth is not empty. I am alive. I have a ship. I have knowledge. I am fighting back. If you hear this, you are not alone. He sent it across every channel he could. Then he waited. Nothing happened for 2 days. But on the third night, Alex picked up something. A response signal. It was weak, scrambled, but real. Echo. Heard. Blake. Not alone. Coming. Athens. Eyes filled with tears. He wasn't the last. More were out there. And now, they knew he was too. But so did the Threxeri. Because only hours later, sensors showed a new ship entering Earth's orbit. A destroyer-class vessel. Alien. Armored. Dangerous. Ethan stood on Echo 1's bridge, staring at the screen. He didn't flinch. He didn't run. He reached for his seat and sat down. Alex, he said calmly, let's give them a reason to fear ghosts. The ship's systems hummed to life. And above, the war began again. Not for survival, but for vengeance, for hope, for humanity. The Threxeri destroyer hovered high above Earth's atmosphere. Its long black frame glided like a silent predator. There were no blinking lights, no warning signals, only a smooth body built for death. The ship's name, written in jagged alien symbols, meant Judgment Fang. Inside, Commander Zarvok stood on the bridge. His skin was dark gray, covered in small hard scales. His long arms ended in 4 fingers, each tipped with a claw. His eyes glowed with sharp yellow light. For 5 years, he had hunted rumors of humans who still lived. He had never found proof. Not until now. A signal, clear, human language, broadcasted from Earth. Zarvok hissed as he reviewed the message. Echo heard. Blake, not alone. The name meant nothing to him, but the words shook him. The Threxeri had declared the human race extinct. Their leaders had sworn it. But now, that truth was in danger. He turned to his second-in-command, a tall officer named Veldak. Send 3 scouts to the surface, Zarvok ordered. Find this, Blake. Burn the city if you must. Veldak bowed and left. As the destroyer moved slowly across Earth's orbit, its shadow stretched over the ruins below. In the heart of New Eden, deep underground, Ethan stood inside the hangar, staring at the ship's image on his screen. The destroyer looked like a black dagger pointed at the world Alex had tracked at the moment it entered orbit. New heat signatures detected. The AI said, 3 smaller crafts detaching, likely landing units, light armor, scout class. Ethan felt his jaw tighten. They're coming. He had already expected it. That's why he had spent the last 2 days preparing. Across the ruined city, he had placed EMP mines, old human turrets, and even hacked a few alien patrol drones to act on his signal. The city was now a trap, one designed for welcome. Echo 1 was fueled and waiting. Alex, Ethan said, pulling on his jacket and grabbing his rifle. Keep the ship cloaked. If I go down, don't reveal yourself unless there's no choice. Confirmed. She answered calmly. Ethan moved fast through underground tunnels. He climbed out through a hidden exit near a collapsed building. The sun had not yet risen. Mist rolled across the city like a ghost. The alien scouts arrived minutes later. 3 sleek black craft descended silently, their wings folding as they landed. Threxari soldiers poured out. They looked similar to their commander, gray skin, glowing eyes, armored chest plates, and long rifles shaped like bones. Ethan watched from a rooftop through binoculars. He counted 8 soldiers per ship, 24 total. Not many, but enough to kill him if he made one mistake. He waited until they spread out. They moved cautiously through the streets, scanning walls and checking doorways. Some deployed drones, which floated with blinking lights, scanning for heat signatures. Ethan aimed his rifle at the first group that walked past an old statue. He triggered the mine. A loud pulse exploded through the street. 1 scout dropped instantly. The others staggered, holding their heads. Their drones sparked and fell. Ethan fired. 1 shot. 2 shots, clean hits to exposed neck joints. Then he ducked and ran to the next building. The rest of the scouts shouted in their own tongue. Ethan didn't need translation. He knew what panic sounded like. They regrouped near a fallen bridge. That's when his second trap activated. A hacked alien turret hidden in a bus opened fire. Purple bolts rained down. Ethan watched as 2 more Threxari dropped. They returned fire, but the turret exploded only after it did its job. Ethan sprinted across broken rooftops, using old human zip lines and cables to cross gaps. He tossed a signal flare into a street tread and bright. The signal activated his hijack patrol drone. The drone shot out from a parking garage and fired a missile straight into the enemy squad. The fireball lit the ruins. The ground shook. By the time the last few scouts realized they were in a trap, Ethan had moved again. He never stayed still. His training hadn't come from any academy. It came from books, manuals, old soldier logs, and raw experience. Survival had shaped him, and now, survival made him dangerous. Back on the destroyer, Zarvok watched the feed in disbelief. 13 units. Gone? He growled. The room went silent. He slammed a clawed hand on the console. 1 human is doing this. Veldak gulped. Commander, this Blake is using old tech. Human and Threxari. It seems he knows how to control our machines. Zarvok's eyes narrowed. He's not just hiding. He's fighting. Clever, suicidal, but clever. He turned to his crew. Send down a war seeker. Now, Veldak hesitated. That's forbidden. Earth is not a combat zone. It is now. Minutes later, a new ship detached from the destroyer. It was twice the size of the scout crafts, heavily armored, designed for hunting targets in difficult terrain. And it carried something worse than weapons, a biotracker. It could smell fear, heat, and blood. It didn't care what species its prey was. When Ethan saw the war seeker descend, he knew his games were over. That thing's not here to search, he whispered. It's here to kill. He ran back to Echo 1 and powered it up. Alex, cancel cloaking. Let's show them what we've got. The ship lifted, engines glowing softly. It rose from the hangar like a spirit waking from a grave. Above the city, the war seeker scanned the ruins. It moved slow and steady, its bottom glowing with red lights. Ethan guided Echo 1 straight toward it. As he neared, Alex spoke. Target lock available. Missile range optimal. Fire. 2 missiles shot from Echo 1's bay and struck the war seeker dead center. The explosion lit the sky. Metal fragments rained down. Smoke billowed. But the war seeker didn't fall. It turned. Its front plate opened, revealing a strange glowing eye that locked onto Echo 1. Warning, Alex said. Target charging plasma core. Ethan pulled the controls hard to the left. A massive beam fired from the War Seeker and narrowly missed Echo 1, cutting through a building behind them. Okay, Ethan muttered. So it wants a real fight. He dropped altitude and flew low through the city streets. Weaving between towers and ruins, the War Seeker gave chase, smashing through buildings. Its cannon glowing. Ethan spun Echo 1 around and fired twin plasma turrets. The shots hit the War Seeker's leg joints. Sparks flew. One leg buckled. It stumbled. Ethan looped behind it and fired again, this time at the bio-tracker mounted on its side. Direct hit. The machine screamed, its systems overloaded, and a chain of explosions ripped through it. The War Seeker fell, crashing into the ground with a thunderous impact. Ethan hovered above it, breathing hard. Is it dead? He asked. Alex scanned. System readings 0. Confirmed kill. He turned Echo 1 back toward the command post. Above, the Threxeri destroyer hovered in silence. Zarvok stared at the feed, now showing only flames and ruin. One human, he said softly. One ship. He turned away from the screen and walked to his private chamber. There, he opened a secured channel. High Command, he said. Earth is not dead. Humanity is not extinct. I request full reinforcements. This is not over. Back on the surface, Ethan stood outside Echo 1, staring at the smoke. The city was scarred again, but not silent. He raised his eyes to the stars. If they're coming, he said, they better bring more, because now the ghost of Earth had teeth. The sky was red with smoke, and ash drifted like snow through the ruined city. Echo 1 rested in a hidden garage beneath an old mall, its hull still warm from battle. Ethan sat beside the ship, his back against the wall, breathing slowly. His muscles ached. His mind felt like it was spinning. Alex's voice broke the silence. Multiple signals detected. Long-range scans suggest fleet-sized movement entering the system. Ethan stood up, wiping dust from his face. So they're sending more. He knew the Threxeri couldn't let this go. One human ship destroying a War Seeker? That kind of news would spread fast, and it would damage their pride. They would send more ships, stronger ones, maybe even a battlecruiser. But Ethan wasn't going to run. He returned to the command center inside the underground base. He opened the old transmitter again. The machine crackled, but still worked. He recorded a short message. This is Ethan Blake. To anyone who hears this, Earth is under threat. I have a ship. I am fighting. If you are human, or if you remember who we were, respond. He sent the signal across old military frequencies. Then he waited. The answer came only a few hours later. A weak voice broke through the static. This is Commander Sean Carter. Human fleet. We thought Earth was lost, but we hear you. Hold the line. Ethan's eyes lit up. He leaned toward the speaker. How far are you? We're 3 days out. Keep them busy. Help is coming. Ethan smiled. It wasn't over. Not yet. And for the first time in 5 years, he wasn't alone. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat in Echo 1's cockpit, staring at the dark sky through the cracked glass. Somewhere out there, the Threxeri fleet was coming. He didn't know how many ships, how strong, or how fast, but he knew they were angry. He had made them angry. That was good. Anger made enemies careless. Inside the cockpit, lights blinked. Alex quietly scanned frequencies. The soft hum of the ship's systems filled the silence. Ethan leaned forward, opening the control panel and checking the stealth drives again. If the destroyer above caught his signal now, they might strike early. He needed to be smart, not just brave. Alex, he said, how long until our cloaking system is fully operational? 14 hours, if repairs continue without interruption, the AI replied. Main engine coolant lines still unstable. Recommend additional insulation. Add it to the list. He left the cockpit and walked back into the hangar. He had laid out every part, every cable, every weapon module he could salvage. He worked through the night, sealing leaks, replacing tubes, and charging batteries. As the sun rose over the ruins, Echo 1 looked stronger. Scarred, yes, but alive. By mid-morning, Alex gave him good news. Stealth drive restored to 94% capacity. Cloaking system fully online. Weapons operational. Ethan nodded. Good. Then let's get to work. He had a new plan. Instead of waiting for the Threxeri fleet to arrive and rain fire from orbit, Ethan decided to give them something else to worry about: chaos from within. He pulled up a map of the old city grid. He marked power stations, alien patrol hubs, relay towers. All had one thing in common: they were now under light alien control again. Small scout teams, repair crews, or supply drops had returned. The Threxeri were quietly rebuilding, even while thinking Earth was still mostly empty. He would change that. He flew Echo 1 low through the ruins, dodging wreckage, floating just above the rooftops. The ship's cloaking worked like a charm. It made the ship shimmer like heat waves, impossible to track by most sensors. His first target was a relay post just north of New Eden, a small tower guarded by Threxeri engineers. They never saw him coming. A single blast from Echo 1's plasma cannon leveled the tower. No alarms, no warning. He moved to the next one. Each strike was fast and silent. By sunset, 3 relay posts, 2 drone factories, and 1 energy depot were gone. The Threxeri on the ground panicked. Their troops scrambled. Supply lines broke. Communication signals were cut. Zarvok, still aboard the destroyer in orbit, watched helplessly as red alerts flashed across his screens. "Who is this human?" he growled. "He is just one. But Ethan wasn't thinking like one man. He was thinking like a movement. Each attack sent a message: humanity fights back. Back at the hangar, Ethan replayed the response from Commander Carter again. "We're 3 days out. Keep them busy. Help is coming." 3 days. He could do a lot in 3 days. On the second day, he activated another trick. In one of the city's old train depots, Ethan had found abandoned Threxeri drones, damaged but repairable. He spent hours rewiring their AI modules, removing their loyalty to the Threxeri. Now, they answered only to one voice, his. He painted old Earth symbols on them, blue and white markings. Then he sent them into the field. The drones attacked enemy patrols. They flew into buildings and exploded. They hacked into cameras and turned them against their owners. Ethan watched through their feeds from the command center. It felt like commanding an army, even if it was only machines. That night, he slept for just 1 hour. He dreamed of fire and stars. By day 3, the Threxeri were in disarray. They couldn't locate the attacker. Every time they thought they had him, he vanished. Their supply lines were cut. Their ground teams were isolated. Ethan didn't just hit hard, he hit where it hurt. He planted false signals, leading Threxeri scouts into dead zones. He set traps that fried their scanners. He hacked into their own warning systems and made them see ghost signals of human fleets where none existed. The destroyer above Earth now spun in confusion. Zarvok didn't sleep. He ordered the ground forces to retreat, but they had nowhere to go. Escape pods had already been destroyed. Drones failed. Energy sources blinked out one by one. "This cannot be one man," Zarvok hissed. But it was. Back in the underground bunker, Ethan prepared his final move before the fleet arrived. He climbed into Echo 1, stared out the window, and said, "Alex, open a channel. Broadcast on every frequency, alien and human." "Ready," the AI said. Ethan took a deep breath. "This is Ethan Blake. I speak from Earth. The Threxeri thought they killed us. They were wrong. I'm not alone. Humanity is not extinct. We are alive. We are rising. And if you come for us again, bring everything you've got. Because I won't stop, ever." He ended the message and launched it across the system. The stars were quiet, but not for long. Help was on its way, and so was war. The sky above Earth shimmered like glass about to crack. From his position inside Echo 1, Ethan Blake watched the stars shift as the Threxeri fleet finally revealed itself. One destroyer had already been orbiting for days, but now it was joined by 2 more. Alongside them came 4 cruisers and a swarm of attack drones. Their arrival was not silent this time. No stealth, no whispers. They had come to burn everything. Inside the cockpit, Alex displayed the enemy force in glowing red markers. Each symbol on the screen represented a threat that could wipe out cities. "They're scared," Ethan said. "That's why they brought so many. Enemy deployment pattern confirms a full engagement." Alex replied, "They expect resistance. They'll get it. Ethan had prepared for this moment. He didn't have a full army. He didn't have dozens of ships. He had Echo 1, and he had his mind. But now, he also had time on his side. Because at that very moment, the stars behind the Threxari fleet began to flicker, tiny lights at first, growing brighter. Then those lights stretched, bent space, and exploded into real shape, ships. Human ships. The Liberty Ark, a massive human dreadnought, appeared first, gray, battle-scarred, with heavy cannons on every side. Flanking it were two fast cruisers, a supply vessel, and several corvettes. The last human fleet had returned not from Earth, but from deep space where they'd been hiding. Gathering strength, on the bridge of the Liberty Ark stood Commander Sean Carter, eyes hard, mouth set in a grim line. He looked at the battlefield, forming in front of him. He turned to his officer. "Are we sure it's him?" The message came from a ground beacon near New Eden. "Yes, sir," she replied. "It's Ethan Blake. He's alive, and he's been fighting." Carter nodded. "Then, let's not waste his effort. Prepare the fleet for full engagement. We retake Earth. Now." The human fleet moved into formation. From the surface, Ethan saw it all unfold. For the first time in years, a smile crept across his face. He opened a private channel to the fleet. "This is Ethan Blake. Permission to join the fight." Carter's voice crackled back. "Welcome to the front line, son. Let's take back our world." Ethan launched Echo 1 from the hidden base, rising into the air like a shadow with purpose. The ship's engines roared as it passed through clouds of ash and fire, breaking through the sky toward orbit. As soon as Echo 1 entered the upper atmosphere, Threxari drones detected it. "Multiple bogies incoming," ALIX warned. 12 drone-class units closing fast. Ethan spun the ship, activating the stealth field. The drones blinked in confusion as Echo 1 disappeared from their scans. Then he attacked. He fired twin plasma bolts, cutting the drones apart in seconds. Another one tried to tail him, but Alex released a short-range EMP pulse, frying its circuits. Ethan dodged, twisted, fired again. Drones exploded around him like fireworks, but more kept coming. Up ahead, the main fleets clashed. The Liberty Arcs. Broadside cannons lit the darkness, striking one of the enemy destroyers. The explosion tore through the Threxari ship's side, sending fire and debris into orbit. But the Threxari answered fast. A cruiser turned and fired a barrage of plasma torpedoes at one of the human corvettes. The small ship tried to dodge, but two torpedoes struck its engine. It broke apart and vanished in a flash of blue fire. Inside Echo 1, Ethan flew straight through the battlefield, weaving between ships like a hawk in a storm. He targeted one of the Threxari cruisers. "Alex, mark that vessel. Let's take out its comms tower." "Locked," the AI replied. He fired a high-yield missile. It flew across space and hit the cruiser's top deck. The tower exploded, and the ship spun, confused, unable to communicate. The human fleet pushed harder. Carter's voice rang out over the comms. "Keep pressure on the left flank. Don't let them regroup." Human ships moved like one body, trained and sharp. They had survived in exile. Now they returned like a blade from the shadows. But the Threxari weren't weak. They had numbers. They had rage. One of their destroyers charged directly at the Liberty Ark. "Brace for impact," a voice shouted across the fleet. The destroyer unleashed a full blast from its front cannon. The Liberty Ark shook, but its shields held. Barely. Ethan saw the destroyer. He knew he had to act. "Alex," he said, "we're going inside." "Clarify," she replied. "We're going to fly into that destroyer's hangar." Silence. Then, risk level, extreme. "I've done worse." Ethan accelerated toward the massive destroyer. He flew low, using debris as cover. Enemy guns fired wildly, trying to track him. Echo 1 ducked and dodged between fire blasts. At the last second, he turned and shot into the open hangar bay at full speed. Inside, alarms blared. Threxari guards turned, confused. Too late. Ethan landed hard, jumped out, and threw a shock grenade toward the control panel. Sparks flew. He ran toward the power terminal and planted a device one built from the stolen drone core. A virus. It would crawl through the destroyer's systems and rip them apart. He ran back to Echo 1, jumped inside, and blasted out of the hangar just as explosions began inside. Behind him, the destroyer cracked. Its lights dimmed, its engines sputtered. One final blast tore through its spine. Ethan flew away as it broke into giant pieces. Cheers erupted across the comms. "Target down," someone shouted. "Ethan, that was insane." But it worked. The Threxeri fleet wavered. The loss of a destroyer shook their lines. Human ships pressed forward. Plasma bolts lit up the sky. The battle raged on. But the tide had turned. Back on the bridge of the Liberty Arc, Carter smiled. "That's the kind of crazy I missed." He opened a direct line. "Ethan." "Blake, welcome back to the fight." Ethan's voice came through, steady and calm. "I never left." As the last of the Threxeri ships began to retreat, Echo 1 flew alongside the human fleet. The sky above Earth was still filled with smoke, but for the first time in years it also held light. The humans hadn't just survived, they were winning. And now, they were taking their planet back. The stars above Earth burned with fire and chaos. Ethan Blake flew Echo 1 through the heart of the battle, smoke and flashes of light around him. Human ships and Threxeri warships clashed across orbit, exchanging blasts of plasma, missiles, and beams. Earth below looked wounded, but still proud, like a warrior refusing to fall. He saw wreckage everywhere, pieces of destroyed cruisers, spinning drones, and broken satellites. But none of it mattered now. What mattered was finishing the job. "Enemy movement on the edge of Sector 12, Alex said. Remaining Threxeri ships regrouping for a final push. Ethan tightened his grip on the controls. "Then we don't give them that chance." Across the battlefield, the remaining Threxeri ships formed a wedge. 2 cruisers and 1 massive flagship. It was dark and curved like a black claw. Bigger than any ship Ethan had seen, its hull shimmered with strange light, and its weapons charged with a low hum that shook nearby ships. Inside that flagship, Commander Zarvok stood on the command bridge. His yellow eyes stared at the human fleet ahead. His officers spoke nervously, but he did not care for their fear. "Prepare the super cannon," he growled. "If we are to lose this war, we will destroy Earth with us." His second-in-command blinked. "But the planet," Zarvok turned sharply. "This world must die. If we can't hold it, we burn it." Back in space, the human fleet held its ground. The Liberty Arc, damaged but strong, hovered at the center of the formation. Commander Sean Carter studied the screen showing the Threxeri flagship charging up its final weapon. "We need to stop that cannon," Carter said. Now, his officers shouted orders. Smaller corvettes broke away, diving toward the enemy like hornets. Missiles streaked across space. Plasma bolts lit up the dark, but the Threxeri flagship's shields held. One human cruiser exploded in a wave of red light. "They're not getting through," Carter shouted. "We need another way." Ethan heard everything. He watched from above, heart racing, mind spinning. He knew what he had to do. "Alex," he said calmly, "open a direct line to Liberty Arc." "Channel open," she replied. "This is Ethan Blake to Commander Carter." "Go ahead, Blake." Carter replied, "We're trying to break that flagship. Nothing's working." "I have an idea," Ethan said, "but you're not going to like it." Carter's voice changed. "What are you thinking?" "I get close, real close, inside close. I can overload their reactor, but I need to board it." There was silence for a moment. "You won't survive that," Carter said. "Maybe," Ethan replied. "But I survived worse." Before Carter could argue, Ethan cut the line. He turned to Alex. "Plot a collision course into the flagship's hangar. We hit hard, fast, and I'll plant the overload inside." "Warning," Alex replied. "Survival probability low." Ethan smiled. "Then we'll beat the odds, like we always do." Echo 1 spun around, dodging plasma shots, diving below to enemy drones. It fired missiles, clearing a path through the battlefield. Then it accelerated, heading straight toward the enemy flagship. "Firing cloaking system for approach," Alex announced. Echo 1 vanished from scanners. The Threxeri flagship didn't see him coming. Ethan dropped the cloak at the last moment. just as the hangar doors opened for incoming drones. He blasted through the opening like a bullet. Inside, Threxari soldiers screamed, pointing weapons. Ethan didn't stop. The ship slammed into the deck, skidding across metal, sparks flying. Before the ship even stopped moving, Ethan jumped out. Weapon in one hand, virus bomb in the other. He ran. Blasts shot past him. One grazed his shoulder. He kept running. He threw smoke grenades behind him, filling the hangar with gray clouds. He burst into a control room and locked the door. Breathing hard, bleeding slightly, Ethan placed the virus bomb on the reactor interface. Alex, he whispered through his comm. Start the countdown. 3 minutes. Timer started. Ethan stepped back, watching as the bomb lit up. But just before he could escape, the door behind him exploded. Zarvok stepped through the smoke, massive and snarling. Ethan raised his gun, but Zarvok slapped it away. The weapon flew across the room. You are the ghost, Zarvok growled. You are the mistake, Ethan said. They charged at each other. Zarvok was stronger. He slammed Ethan against the wall, claws cutting into his arm. Ethan punched back, grabbed a metal pipe, and swung. The pipe cracked against the alien's head, but it wasn't enough. Zarvok roared and grabbed Ethan's throat. You can't stop the Threxari, he said. Even if you kill me, others will come. Ethan grinned through the pain. Then we'll be ready next time. He reached into his pocket and pressed a small button. The bomb beeped louder. Zarvok's eyes widened. Ethan kicked him back and ran through a side tunnel. Behind him, the room lit up with sparks. The countdown dropped to 10 seconds. On the Liberty Ark, Carter watched the screen. Something's happening inside the flagship, a tech officer said. Pull the fleet back, Carter ordered. Now, the human ships turned. Even Threxari cruisers began to pull away, confused. Then, the flagship exploded. A massive fireball tore through the sky. Pieces of black metal scattered into orbit. The shockwave sent small ships spinning. Everyone watched in silence. Then a voice crackled through the comms. Still here, barely. It was Ethan. He floated in space, holding onto a drifting escape pod ejected at the last second. His suit was torn. He was bleeding, but he was alive. Carter exhaled. Get a rescue ship to those coordinates. Now, the battle was over. The remaining Threxari ships ran. They had lost their leader. They had lost Earth. And they had seen what one human could do. Back on the planet, fires still burned. But lights began to return. The Liberty Ark descended through the clouds. Escorted by the remaining fleet, it landed outside New Eden. Soldiers and officers stepped out. And from a landing ship, Ethan was carried down, wrapped in a blanket, weak, but smiling. Crowds gathered. Survivors, soldiers, engineers, children. They looked at him not as a stranger but as a symbol. Ethan Blake, the human who lived when the world fell. The ghost who fought back. The man who made humanity believe again. Later that night, as fires cooled and stars returned, Commander Carter stood beside Ethan, who was resting in a medical tent. You did the impossible, Carter said. You gave us hope. Ethan looked up at him. I just didn't want to die hiding. You didn't just survive, Carter said. You woke us up. Ethan sat back, looking at the ceiling of the tent. So what happens now? Carter smiled. Now we rebuild, together. And above them, the sky was no longer silent. It held ships, lights, hope. Humanity had returned, not as victims, but as warriors.